Hello everyone, my name's Cliff and welcome back to my channel. This is Cliff's Dark Gems. Today I'm going to be doing the science fiction movie tag. But before that I'm going to rave about a favourite 5-star book that I've just recently finished. Stay tuned. Okay everyone, so just recently I finished a little novella called Skull-Faced Boy by Chad Lutzke. And this has just literally blown its way into my top 5 reads this year. It's a pity that I didn't do the list afterwards. It is absolutely beautiful. It's a horror, but it's kind of like a YA horror, but believe me, it'll appeal to anyone. That's horror with heart. It's more like a coming of age story. It's kind of a road trip story. And I just want to read the first line of the book. It really just sets a tone. Hey, my name is Levi. I'm 16. I've got a skull for a face. And here's how shit went down. Now, it's about this boy Levi. You see the whole story through his eyes. And he goes on this trip when he's 16. He's lived his whole life with this kind of home, this orphan home, and he leaves and he finds out that there's another one like him, that there may be another person that's got a skull for a face on the other side of the country in California. And so he leaves with his backpack on his back, only with a book in the pack, nothing else, no money, nothing, and he tries to work his way through to California. It is just gorgeous. You meet these eccentric characters. You go through some pretty dark stuff with him. You meet all sorts of eccentric, just wonderful characters. And it's a kind of story that'll just settle in your soul. I kind of want to read it again quite soon. And next time I read it, I'm actually going to pick up a pen and paper and actually take down notes. Because there's all sorts of little nuggets of wisdom and truths and things as you're reading through the book. It was absolutely gorgeous, and I nearly broke down twice. You're saying that it's horror, how can you be crying in a horror book? But it's so much more than a horror, and really horror it just takes almost like a back seat in this book. It's very light, and in fact if people ask me what kind of book should they read to get into horror, I would immediately suggest Skull-Faced Boy. It is just beautiful, and I recommend it to anyone at all. That is Skull-Faced Boy. Okay, let's move on to the tag. This is a sci-fi movie tag. It was created by a man with a hat who reads, and I was tagged by please read your book. Now at first I wasn't really sure if I wanted to do this tag, because I'm a horror reader. And all these prompts sort of require you to know something about science fiction, but I managed to give these prompts a little bit of a horror sort of spin and think of books that I could put in as more like sci-fi horror. So yeah, I had a bit of a fun time actually coming up with these prompts. So yeah, let's get to it. First prompt is Welcome to Earth, Independence Day. A novel about an alien invader. Okay, it didn't say the size of the alien invader, so I've gone with Infected by Scott Sigler. Now I've read this book a long time ago. There was something about it that really disappointed me. I think it might have been the characters if I remember, but it is a very brutal body horror, science fiction horror. Let me just read a bit at the back. They dropped from the atmosphere like microscopic snow. Billions of seeds, smaller than specks of dust, spiraling down from the heavens. A few survived and began to grow. And so basically these people get infected by this alien microscopic seed sort of thing. And yeah, it gets very graphic, gets quite nasty. What happens to these people drives them insane. And like I said, there's a lot of body horror. But yeah, that is prompt number 1. Infected. Okay, prompt number 2 is Life Finds a Way That's taken from Jurassic Park. And this is the novel where science runs amok. And this is the only H.G. Wells novel that I've read when I was much younger. I've seen the movie as well, which is very creepy, kind of nasty. And that is The Island of Dr. Moreau. Now, it's about a man that gets marooned on an island. He kind of gets stranded there. And the island is run by this kind of insane, crazy doctor who is doing all sorts of experiments where he's sort of crossing, matching, pairing, whatever you call it, humans with animals with horrible, terrifying results. That's all I'm going to say about that. There's more to the novel than meets the eye, but yeah, it's recommended. And I think I'll probably give it another read. I read it when I was much younger, when science fiction wasn't such a big thing for me. But yeah, I might give it another read sometime in the future. That is The Island of Dr. Moreau. The third prompt is, may the odds be ever in your favor. This is an awesome movie and series of movies. I enjoy it very much, and it's The Hunger Games. And it's a novel about a dystopian Earth, which is another science fiction novel that I've chosen. A dystopian novel. And it's called The Knife of Never Letting Go by Patrick Ness. And it's the first in a series. Now, I taught this at high school. It's considered a YA book, but believe me, it's kind of dark and kind of bloody. It gets pretty damn dark. All sorts of trigger warnings for animal violence, all sorts of stuff. So the fact that I actually taught it, I look back at some of the stuff that I taught. Yeah, I'm not sure how well some of those kids actually cope with this particular book. But it is brilliant. And it's about a boy in a world of men. There's no women. And there's this germ called noise. I think most of you probably know that there was a movie made on this book, but it was a crap movie. The book is so much better. And anyway, what actually happens is that the boy discovers a girl, and he finds himself on the run from these men, these very cruel, vicious men. So yeah, and it's as I say, it's a dystopian future. It's a dark book. And yeah, that is my prompt number 3. Okay, the fourth prompt says, these aren't the droids you're looking for. That's from Star Wars. A novel about robots. Now, this was obviously for me very, very, very tricky. I don't have a physical copy of the book anymore. But the only book that I've ever read that's got anything about robots in it is a book called Prey by Michael Crichton. Now this is a book about basically a cloud of, what do you call them, micro robots? What did I write here? Yeah, they're like little micro robots, and they escape from a lab and they start preying on people and they start evolving, and yeah, that's the only thing I could come up with this prompt. I nearly gave up, but what I did is look through all the books I read on Goodreads, because I keep a nice category, everything that I've ever read in my life, and I found Prey by Michael Crichton. 5 says, okay, I have no idea what this is. This alien talk. It says Klaatu, nikto, something like that, and it's from the film The Day the Earth Stood Still, a novel where immortality, resurrection plays a part. Now this could have been all sorts of things. And I know it's kind of it seems like it's a bit of a cop-out to go for a zombie movie or a zombie book. But this is a book that is very, very different. And it's a book that's playing on my mind. And that is Handling the Undead by John Lindquist. Now, I read this earlier in the year. I think I only gave it 3 stars. But it's a book that I would like to revisit at some stage, because it does handle the whole concept of the undead in a very unique way and a very interesting way. And I think on a second read I might get a lot more out of it than I did in the first read. And what actually happens is that in Stockholm, I think there's a heat wave, and suddenly the dead just rise. And they're not brain-chowing, mindless, kind of out to get you, aggressive dead. They just want to get back to their loved ones. So yes, they're mindless, they're shambling corpses, but all they do is try and find their loved ones. And the whole book, initially, the book is about how to deal with all this. It's all these undead that suddenly have woken up. They're not doing anyone any harm. So what do? How do you respond to the situation? But then you find out in this book that there's a lot more. This whole resurrection that happened, all these dead rising back to life, there's a hell of a lot more to it than meets the eye. And it is a book, like I say, I would like to revisit again, as this is also the author of Let the Right One In, one of my favorites of all time. So yeah, that's Handling the Undead, Handle with Care. The sixth prompt is E.T. Phone Home, from, you guessed it, E.T. Travel, a novel about space travel. Now, initially I was thinking about an H.P. Lovecraft story, The Shadow Out of Time. I'm not sure how closely it fits the bill. I think it does. But I'm going to cheat and go for a short story. And I'm going to go with The Jaunt by Stephen King, taken from Skeleton Crew. Now, this short story is absolutely bloody terrifying. I think I have mentioned it already. And it's about a trip to Mars with a family, called this thing called The Jaunt, where you've got to be put under before you can go on the jaunt and wake up in Mars. And the one boy decides he's going to do something a little different. Well, little boys do. I'm not going to say anything else about the story. This is possibly, I think, one or two of Stephen King's most terrifying short stories ever. Look it up, The Jaunt. Terror of space travel. Okay, and for 7, I've got a short story and a novel. Okay, it's basically I'll Be Back, Terminator, a novel about time travel. Now, pretty close to space travel, but this is obviously, well, going back in time, going forward in time. And first of all, I'm thinking of a short story by Ray Bradbury called A Sound of Thunder. And this is freaking awesome. It's one of his best. And it's about this group of a safari company who take this group of hunters back in time to prehistoric ages where they can hunt down a freaking dinosaur. But they got to follow the rules, of course. So that's one. The second one is pretty much, and I'm going to finish with this because this is the last prompt, is the entire Dark Towers series. There's a lot of jumping around in time. There's a lot of cross-dimensional stuff that happens in these novels. But don't let that put you off. This really is kind of a cross-genre mind-bender at times. Hello my girl, she's got a shoe for us. But anyway, yeah, we're going to finish on that. And yeah, that is prompt number 7. Where's your shoe, girl? Layla, where's your shoe? You're on camera. Yes, you are. Okay, everyone, so my wife's just kind of followed Layla outside to give her a little bit of a play. And the 8th prompt is tag people. Now, I don't know who's done this tag. I think it's been kind of done the rounds already. But I'm going to tag 2 people. Pick your pop culture poison, as well as vintage Viking. I think we'll enjoy this tag. And of course, if you want to do the tag, feel free. But you have no obligation, of course. It's a tag. It's for fun. And yeah, that's it for me, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you enjoy my content, please be sure to like and subscribe. And give me a thumbs up, it really helps. Until next time, take care of yourselves, keep those pages turning, and cheers.